Now, guys, we all thought that Tesla's supercharging build out, its rollout, and if you read the news from some of the alarmists like Electric, you would have seen that Tesla wasn't going to be building any more superchargers. That was all finished. Remember when Tesla went and fired, or Elon Musk went and fired a bunch of the team in Tesla's supercharger, their supercharger division? Well, the media told us that was it. No more Tesla superchargers, it was all finished. But actually, Tesla has been building its supercharger network at a faster pace than anyone else in the world over the last 3 months. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. Great to have you with us. YouTube's new algorithm means that you're often not getting all of our videos in your feed. There's 7,500. I'm pretty sure you're probably not seeing a lot of them. In the description, there is a link to our newsletter. Click on that and you can get an update every day of all the latest news in the electric car industry. The US added more than 4,000 new DC fast charging ports over the last 3 months. So crazy numbers here, guys. In the months of July, August, and September, those 3 months, 4,000 new DC charging ports they came online. In Q3 of 2025, this meant that by the end of that quarter, there was 64,000 DC fast charging ports in the United States. So America's EV infrastructure keeps on growing. And despite new station openings, there's actually still plans for more and more. So interestingly, EV sales are not growing particularly quickly in the US, only around 10%, and that's probably going to go down a bit over the coming months because of the end of the tax credits. But at the same time that EV sales are not really increasing much, EV charging points are. Now, some people say that there's going to be so many DC EV charging ports around that the negative perception about EV charging from a lot of people who don't have an EV will change so much in the coming years that a lot of these people who are afraid of having an EV will actually realize that it's incredibly convenient. According to EV charging data platform Parent's latest State of the US Fast EV Charging Industry Report, the number of public DC fast charging ports climbed to 64,500 across 12,400 charging stations across the nation in Q3 of 2025. So that means, guys, the exact numbers are this: 64,486. That means there is 64,438 more DC fast charging points than there are hydrogen refueling stations. Yeah, that gives you an idea of just how successful hydrogen is likely to be as a fuel for cars. Now, someone should probably present that data to Toyota. That might tell them something, or not. Now, that's despite a slight slowdown in new openings. Operators added 700 new stations, down 12% from Q2. And 4,061 new ports, down 7.7%. So technically, that's a decline of 7.7% versus the Q2 months. So the months of April, May, and June. So not really a big difference. The dip mirrors seasonal trends, though, seen in 2024, and growth should rebound in the fourth quarter of this year, with early October data coming in that's been very positive. The US will add around 16,700 new ports by the end of 2025. And larger charging stations are becoming the norm. That's the thing. 27% of all stations now have 8 or more stalls, up from 23% last quarter. Plus, these new charging ports, most of them have faster charging speeds. So if you look at the average charging speed of the ports being built this year, they are on average quite a bit faster than the charging ports being built last year. And you can say the same for previous years as well. Tesla is dominating. Tesla led Q3 deployments with 1,820 new ports. In fact, 45% of all chargers built across the US in the third quarter were all Teslas. So 45% of the market was Tesla. This is complete market dominance. ChargePoint had 300. And that's a conglomerate of different companies. ChargePoint, 300 compared to Tesla's 1,820. Red E did 215, Electrify America, 164, and EV Connect, 146, rounded out the top 5. Parent said that smaller and regional operators collectively accounted for 21% of new ports, demonstrating the market is diversifying to some degree. My solar and batteries. I've got a 50 kilowatt hour battery here, and I've got a big solar array. So I pay $0 for electricity. That's including charging my electric car. Resync Solar is the company that I used. I'll put a link to them in the description below. But I've just got to get back to that point. 45% of all chargers added in the last 3 months were Teslas. So this narrative that Tesla was going to slow down its supercharger rollout was just manufactured by the media. It was just complete nonsense. And I even said that at the time. Honestly, I was one of very few people that said this at the time, guys, that said, calm down. Tesla has not said anything about stopping its build out of superchargers. It did not. The media decided to invent that narrative. Anyhow, this means that in total, Tesla has 34,330 total ports. That means 53% of the market is Tesla. 53%. The next closest is Electrify America with 7.6%. But Electrify America's rollout has slowed enormously. Enormously. I mean, Electrify America's actual market share in Q3 was 4%. All-time market share is 7.6%. So their rollout of EV chargers is slowing down. You would think Electrify America's would speed up and Tesla's would slow down if you were to listen to the media, but it's not the case at all. Now, Tesla having 53% market share of all charging stations is ridiculous. This is just like total market dominance. And I think that Tesla's decision to have many stations supported by their own megapack batteries, meaning Tesla can take electricity from the grid when it's either free or very, very cheap and then sell it back to EV customers at a much higher price, is a very good business model. Imagine having 34,330 gas pumps where what you pay for that gasoline is probably 90% less than what you can sell it for. Those margins are an incredibly good business model. California led the way, of course, with the charging rollout with 108 new charging sites, but there was new DC charging sites added to every state in the US. California was followed by Texas, New York, Florida, and Illinois. And the summer travel season drove EV charging activity higher across almost the entire US. In fact, fast charger use increased in 45 states over the summer. It was flat in 1 and went down slightly in 5. Maine saw the biggest bump, plus 1.9 in utilization growth, followed by Montana at plus 1.8, New York at plus 1.8, and Oregon at plus 1.8. In addition to that, Tesla started taking more of the market. Why? Well, because Tesla opened up its supercharger network to non-Tesla EV drivers, that is changing people's behavior. Some non-Tesla charging stations saw slight utilization declines, but many of Tesla's sites actually saw an increase in use because more cars from other brands are able to use those chargers. And that's the same here in Australia. In fact, Tesla's chargers here in Australia are being used more now because the network has been opened up to a bunch of other brands. As a result of this increase in Tesla chargers as well, the reliability in the network actually increased. It went from 92.1% uptime to 92.3%. Not a big difference, 0.2%, but to see this continual improvement in uptime is pretty incredible, especially when there are still these absolute idiots cutting off the charging cables to steal the copper from the cables. And that's probably one of the biggest reasons why some charging stations are, unusable. Now, the average charging prices in the US are quite interesting, right? They rose by a single cent to an average of 49 cents per kilowatt hour, with most states falling between 48 and 54 cents per kilowatt hour. Tesla chargers are historically the cheapest chargers on average in the US, and it's the same here in Australia as well. Hawaii is by far the most expensive at 85 cents per kilowatt hour. Nebraska is the cheapest at 42 cents per kilowatt hour. So that gives you a pretty good snapshot of what's been happening in the US. Huge charging rollout, massive increases in chargers available, and Tesla's charging network is open up to everyone. Plus, the average price, about the same, about 50 cents per kilowatt hour. And market share across the US, I'm surprised by these numbers. I still can't believe that Tesla is building out 45% of America's chargers. What the hell is everyone else doing? Why are they all allowing Tesla to just basically take over the market? 53%. It's a monopoly. Yeah. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching.